What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens episode review. Today, guys, we are going to be going over episode 42 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens. I'm really excited to talk about this episode, as always, with you guys, so without further ado, let's not waste any more time, and let's get right into it. Feel like I've definitely gotten a lot quicker with these intros, but I'm just really excited to talk about the episode with you guys. So, generally speaking, what were my thoughts on this episode? Well, I will say this though, this was just an okay episode to be completely honest. Definitely my least favorite episode out of the last I guess three out of all three of the episodes of this new arc, this was definitely my least favorite episode for this arc. Very interesting stuff does happen though. It's not like anything didn't actually happen in this episode. Let's kind of talk about it. So the episode begins where we kind of have the third Sorako character. I think it's Sweets Kakako, I believe is what the name is. I don't know. There's so many Sorako characters that it's just kind of confused me. So you have her kind of talking about the whole tournament and kind of like the whole like what is going to happen with this tournament and how it's going to work, and even kind of talks about what the prize is going to be for this tournament, and whoever team wins the tournament, the leader is going to be pronounced as the Rush Duel King, which was very interesting that specifically the leader of the group was going to get something out of this. I'm assuming maybe they will get something, though she didn't really say anything about it. So very interesting of a route that they went with this. I kind of wish it was a little bit more beneficial for everyone else. It's very interesting. This tournament's already sketchy enough, but to go specifically as to say to become the Rush Duel King only for the leader, definitely weird right there. But you know, you have Rook obviously so excited about this because obviously this is a circumstance which really benefits him the most, because since the beginning of this series he wants to become the Rush Duel King, and now this is his opportunity to finally become the Rush Duel King. And this is where you kind of get into his dilemma, as he needs three party members jeez, I feel like it's a video game. He needs two other people to join him in a team, in a 3-team style, to actually enter the tournament. And this is where the interesting thing comes into mind, because they kind of thought about Yuga first, you know, because obviously Yuga has just been kind of the leader of their group since the beginning of the show. I mean, he's the protagonist of the show, so obviously they're going to think that, but you know, he's basically been the leader of the group, so they were kind of just thinking about that, like, Yuga's obviously going to be the leader, so he makes the most sense that he is going to become the king of duels. And then this is where you hear out of nowhere Yuga saying, well, I'm not entering. And to their confusion, it's like, what do you mean that you're not entering? And then he clearly ends up stating to them that he's not going to enter this Rush Duel tournament, and shocks all three of them on the fact that he's not wanting to enter the tournament. You know, this is a Rush Duel tournament that I feel like he's been wanting to see for a while now, because he's finally seeing that his invention is now going worldwide to the point that there's now a tournament on it, and he doesn't even want to enter it. I mean, this shocks Rook so bad that he almost punches Yuga in the face. Like, I'm not even kidding. He goes and literally is about to deck Yuga in the face, ends up stopping himself, so obviously Yuga didn't get hurt, which part of me, and I don't condone violence, I'm just going to say that much, I really do wonder what would have happened if Rook actually punched him in the face. Would he have yelled at him or something like that, or what would have happened? Like, this is the second time I feel like Yuga has almost gotten decked. I believe back in episode 24, excuse me, after Yuga's lost to Neil, Roa kind of got in a talk with him, and he even grabbed him by the collar as well and kind of got mad at him. I'm pretty sure he almost punched Yuga there as well. I don't remember if he actually raised his fist or anything, but Rook literally grabbed him by the collar and actually lifted his fist up. So that was really just out of nowhere. Like, I was not expecting Rook to really do that, and the reason that he did it was because he was confused. Like, he doesn't understand what Yuga is doing. Like, why does he not want to enter this tournament? Like, what is the reason for this? Because obviously there has to be a reason as to why he doesn't want to do it, but obviously he can't really figure that out, so he ends up storming out of the room, and then Gakuto and Roman end up having to go chasing him after it. So that was weird just to begin with. That was a very interesting like start to the episode, and then we find out that Rook goes back to the abandoned dorms where the where they were able to go and find Asana, that little mining area. He brings Hanto with him, the little short kid that's a part of Khan's group that was with them in the last arc, and they were gonna go and find maximum cards. And he even gets Asana, Galleon, and Schwer into this whole thing as well. Which I will say though, and this is just a thought that I had. What was the purpose of doing this? Like, I understand. Well, obviously the purpose to get maximum cards, but did they clearly just forget what happens with maximum cards when you search, or when you get maximum cards by this method of just like getting it from these ID cards and making the maximum monsters? Like, do they forget what is going to happen? Well, to refresh your memory, they're going to disintegrate. Remember back in the duel with Yuga and Asana, they both used cards that were mined back up from these old duel ID accounts. And guess what? During the duel, they ended up disintegrating because they're so old. So what is the point of them going to this mine shaft and getting maximum cards when they know that they're just gonna disintegrate? Like, what is the purpose? And spoiler, if you're watching this review, you probably know what happened. They didn't end up finding maximum cards, so the reason they went there was kind of just a complete waste of time, because not only did they not find it, but honestly, there's no point in doing it, because sure, you might get them to work for a little while, but soon they're going to disintegrate, and then you're out of luck. You're basically back to start. Like, Rook can be in the middle of a duel, and he's able to get a maximum card out, and they ended up disintegrating during a duel, and he ends up losing because he decided to go that route. And I understand why they kind of want to get maximum cards, because of the whole thing about kids ended up actually finding out about maximum cards. Like, back in the last episode, or no, it was the last episode when one of the random or one of the kids said that one of his friends ended up getting a maximum card. So I guess Rook kind of took that to heart and decided to go into the mine shaft. But honestly, I just really didn't see much purpose in there. Maybe I'm looking a little bit too much into it, but that was just something that I kind of thought about. Like, the whole point of going there, I just felt like was kind of pointless, because the cards were just going to disintegrate. So what was the point of even going down there when they clearly know what will actually happen if they go down there? I don't think they're that stupid, especially Asana. Like, maybe Rook, I would argue that, but like, Asana's not that stupid to know that, oh, the maximum cards are going to be fine. She knows what's going to happen. She experienced it firsthand. So that was just something I noticed. But so basically, they end up meeting with each other. We even get a funny joke. Like, there was like some funny jokes. I think there was really only 3 funny jokes that kind of hit me in this episode. The first one was like when when Rook was kind of calling this like Maximum Mountain, and Galleon kind of gotten mad at him. He's like, don't call it that. Like, he actually got mad at him, and I thought that was pretty funny. You even had Asana kind of getting in there as well. It's like, oh, so you don't know Yugioh very well, don't you? And that kind of bothers Rook a little bit, and I think that was actually pretty funny as well, which Asana has been a really interesting character. Like, she just seems to know Yugioh very well. I mean, she's an interesting character, I will say that much. And then when we get into with the space guys, you had the whole what was the joke that was funny? Oh, it was when they were kind of introducing themselves, Rook ends over leaning towards Hano, and he whispers to him. He whispered something like, don't, Hanto, just take this as don't talk to strangers, just don't talk to them. And he ends up knowing that, and I thought that was pretty funny. So, speaking of which, the space people, what were my thoughts on them? Well, honestly, they weren't really interesting, to be completely honest. Honestly, none of them really were interesting. They had some interesting space references in this. I do know that there was references with their names. Like, I think the one girl in this that was part of the group, she kind of was going off the active, like Seagull. Like, she says, I am Seagull, that's what her name is. And apparently that is, like, I don't know what it fully is. I didn't really, like, look up the references. This is just something I think the summary actually talked about, where her name was kind of a reference off of a, like, a thing that an astronaut would do. If anyone knows the references, please let me know, because honestly, I'm clueless when it comes to the references from these three characters, so maybe it would make me like those characters a little bit more. I mean, I don't even remember what the heck the red-haired kid did. Honestly, I don't remember really any of their names, to be completely honest, or at least other than Siegel. And then, whoa. Hold up a minute. I'm actually going to look up his name real quick. Braun? I think that's how you say his name. That's the other kid, and then I'm not going to look up the other kid. If you want to tell me in the comments, that's completely fine. Honestly, he really was like the irrelevant character of the group, definitely. Honestly, both of them were. Braun was like really the only one that did anything this episode. He was the one that ended up dueling Rook, which she actually challenged Asana originally. Oh, he challenged Asana originally. My mistake. But Asana says, sure, you can duel, but you're not going to duel me. You're going to duel Rook. And Rook was kind of surprised at this, but he ends up accepting the duel otherwise. And they end up getting into the duel. The duel was okay. It was a 3-turn duel where it was 2 turns of Braun and then 1 turn of Rook. I think the only real... No, it's 2 turns of Rook and then 1 turn for the Braun kid, excuse me. I think the only things that were interesting about this episode was the new dragon that he summoned, which I think looked really, really sick. It was the first one he summoned on his first turn. Absolutely love design, and I can't wait for that card to become another dragon that Rook only summons once and never summons it again. Like, it seems like, I don't know why this is the case with Sevens so far, but it seems like every dragon that's like one of my favorites in Rook's deck just doesn't appear again in the show. Dragonic is still one of my favorite monsters that has been summoned in the show so far. And guess what? We have not seen that card summoned since episode 8 of the series. We are already in episode 42, so that's, what is that, like 36 episodes or something like? I think that's 36 episodes since we have seen that card, and that bothers me because I love that monster so much. That black and gold with that spear, it looks so cool. Attack Volcano Dragon, or Attack Volcanic Dragon, something like that. That was summoned against Django. Love the design of that monster. We have not seen that monster since its debut. Now, that one isn't as much of a gap. I think that's literally like a 10 episode gap or something like that. 11 episode gap, actually. So yeah, and then what was the new one? Ancient Arise Dragon. That one was a really cool monster, and we haven't seen that one. Now, to be fair, that was Rook's last duel, so I'm not going to be as harsh on that one, but it just seems like every dragon that I love that Rook summons. I think the only one that has been used multiple times is Meragias, which is still a pretty good monster. It's not like one of the top 4. I think it's like my 5th favorite one. So obviously, it's like the lowest one of my top 5 is the one that gets shown the most, which I kind of understand that one. It's being shown a lot because it's kind of like an upgraded Yugioh, so I guess that one makes sense. But these dragons look so cool, but they only are summoned once, and it bothers the living heck out of me. We also see like a new Gravity Dragon monster, Gravity Plus Dragon, which was really cool. I think the only other thing was interesting too was like the symbolism, although at first it kind of confused me just because of the fact that like I understand what the purpose was for that whole scene that we got. You had Rook holding 3 dragons in his hand, you had Gravity Plus Dragon onto the field, and you had a spell card, which when it's activated, I believe you send one card from your hand to the graveyard to destroy a field spell. I believe that's what that one was. And Rook basically had to choose which dragon he wanted to send to the graveyard. Now, no matter what dragon that he summoned, it would have still killed Baro in the end, so it didn't really matter. But he decided to kind of represent the characters in like, or the dragons as like Yugioh, Roman, and Gakuto. And basically, he summons 2 of the dragons that represented Roman and Gakuto and used a spell card and sent the one that he represented as Yugioh to the graveyard, kind of symbolizing that that's the team that he decided to choose for the battle. And this is where he kind of realizes that Yugioh decided not to enter the tournament because of the fact that he feels like it's more important for them to be in the tournament than him because of what their goals are. You know, you have Rook becoming the dual king. Obviously, Yugioh can't, both of them can't be it, so he wants Rook to be it, which I always thought was weird because he wants to become it as well, though to be fair, he has barely talked about it that much, so I'll give the credit for that he hasn't really talked about it that much, so I can understand why he is giving it more to Rook because he has more of an interest to it than Yuga does. So I guess he thought it would be better for him to have it. And then kind of the whole situation with Roman and Gakuto, Gakuto wanted to become a stronger duelist after the whole thing with Ron's, and then, Roman's whole thing with Princess G. He thought it made sense for all three of those to enter the tournament. And since only three members can enter, he decided to be the one to stay out because he doesn't really have a goal anymore other than the wanting to become the dual king, which he barely even recognizes, which this is kind of showing to me that Yuga is a really selfless character. But basically, that was the whole reason. They kind of understand it at this point. Rook kind of goes and finishes the duel. They decide after the duel that they were going to continue looking for maximum cards, and obviously, they didn't find any. Then you had Rook going back to the laboratory and basically saying, like, I understand that you don't want I understand why you don't want to be in the tournament. I completely understand that. And even Yuga said, like, it's not like I'm not going to be there with you guys. I'm going to cheer you guys on. Like, even though I can't participate in the tournament because you can only have 3 members, I'm still going to cheer you guys on. So at least Yuga will still be around to do something, though. It's going to be weird, which this is just me. I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know why, but they're going to find some way to shoehorn Yuga into this tournament. There is no way you're telling me that you're not going to shoehorn Yuga into this tournament. Remember, Yuga is our main protagonist. He has to do something during these arcs. And I don't know, like, there is something going on with this tournament that I feel like has to get Yuga involved. So Yuga's getting involved no matter what. There is no way you're telling me that he's not going to have any participation in this tournament, which even the tournament, it's weird himself. Now, I will say, though, that I am a little worried about this tournament, and I want you guys to kind of let me know if maybe I'm worrying a little bit too much, and that could be the case, but I'm really worried that this tournament is going to be rushed, and pun was intended. I'm just going to say that much. Get mad now. But the thing is what I'm worried about it is, think of the last 3 arcs that we've had. They've been 13 episodes. We are currently on episode 43. If we count 13 episodes for this arc, from 40 to the next, 13 episodes, it's going to be from episode 40 to 52. So, that makes me concerned that this tournament can't really be that big. Because the problem with it is there's 2 problems with it. Because you got to try to get all the duels in there for the tournament. Obviously, that makes sense. But you also have to think about the team concept of it. This is the first time where you've seen a team concept in a tournament. Or at least for the anime, the OCG Structures manga actually had a team tournament. So we might have some basis on that. Which I'll do a video kind of talking about the tournament and some things that I expect to see, like, the teams and, like, all that kind of stuff. But, like, that is something to really think about. Is, like, how is this tournament going to really work? How are you going to be able to fit it in this episode gap? And what I'm going to start doing for the episode 43 summary and the reviews going forward, I'm going to have a number on the top right corner. And that's going to basically be the number of how many episodes left until the final episode. Or to that episode 52 marker. And if they are not the finals yet of that tournament, that is going to tell me that 2 things. Either they're going to continue more episodes to finish the tournament, or the tournament is going to be interrupted. But if the final tournament is on episode 52, or they're continuing from that place in the tournament, then I know that, yeah, it's going to be another 13 episode arc. So I'm going to be on the lookout for that. I am worried that this tournament might be rushed because of the fact that they have to fit it in this 13 episode gap that they've been doing. And it sucks to be a Debbie Downer on this, but the series has proved to me that they've been wanting to continue with this 13 episode stuff. Every single arc has been 13 episodes. Why not this arc? Why not this arc would you do the same thing and do a 13 episode arc like you've been doing with the last three. It just doesn't make sense. I just feel like they're not going to make an exception for this tournament arc. I just don't see them doing it. But again, I might be worrying a little bit too much, but I feel like I have good reasons to worry about it because of what the presence that Seven has shown us, and I really hate it. I hate it. I did a whole video where I thought there was a arc length problem. I did a video about it, how I said that these arcs have been having a problem because they're too short, especially when you're getting into a tournament, because I feel like the more episodes you have, especially for a tournament, the better the tournament can be. But now you're just condensing it down to basically, I think you have like 9 episodes to do something with this arc. So I am really concerned about it. Now, if the tournament doesn't even start until the next arc, then maybe I'll be a little bit less worried about it. I still wonder how they're going to fit it in 13 episodes. Say, like, on episode 53 is when they actually start the tournament. Then maybe I'll be a little less worried about it, but I do worry that they might start the tournament now, and we only have like 9 episodes, I believe is the number, to do this entire tournament. And that really does terrify me. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. I'm definitely going to keep my guard up on that. But other than that, that is going to be it for this episode review. Definitely want to know what your guys' thoughts on this episode was, and I want you guys to let me know, am I worrying a little bit too much about this tournament? Not only is this tournament suspicious in terms of that, but what I'm more meaning is, like, am I worrying about too much that the tournament's going to be fine, it's going to be a good length? Maybe I am worrying about it a little bit too much, and I will completely understand that if I am, but I'm just really worried, guys. I am really worried that this tournament arc might be rushed because of the fact that they have to fit in this 13 episode gap. I am really worried about that, but we'll just see what happens. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys' thoughts on this episode were. Did you love the episode? Did you thought the episode was okay? Or did you not really like this episode? Let me know what you guys thought of the space people and the references. Again, let me know what the references was all about. I know, like, the seagull was like something that an astronaut like did, and then it involved the seagull. That's the only thing I really know about that. I don't know about the other two. I know they're something with space and astronauts. I know that much about it. So let me know about that whole thing. Let me know what you guys thought of the duel, and just let me know what you guys think about, like, what you think is going to happen during this tournament. Do you think there's going to be an interruption in the tournament or something like that? Do you think there will be a conclusion? Do you think that the tournament is going to be rushed? Like, I don't know. There's a lot to talk about. Like, with something as big as a tournament, I feel like there's going to be a lot to really discuss going forward. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, guys, take care and have yourselves a great rest of your day.